Hi, in this week's video, I'm going to talk about the cons of owning a Peloton Bike, a Peloton Tread, or a Peloton Rower, if it ever comes. So there's two videos I've made. One is the pros video, which I'll link to at the end of this video. Please watch both of these videos for balance, and this one is the cons video. In my experience with YouTube, the cons videos, like worst things videos, seem to spread a lot further than best things videos. So please watch both. Let's get cracking. So the first con is lowered prices, especially on the bike. Now, this does sound like a pro rather than a con, doesn't it? But I think it reflects the supply and the demand Peloton has for its products. After all, if Peloton could maintain a high price and barely keep up with the demand for their products, why would they lower the price of them? When demand outstrips supply, you put your prices up, and when supply outstrips demand, it's time to bring your prices down, isn't it? And for people like me and maybe you who already own a Peloton, this has quite a negative effect on second-hand values. I sold a Peloton Bike Plus just before the price drop for $15.60. I've just picked up this one, an identical bike with less miles on it than mine, for $925. So that's a substantial difference. And the difference between me selling my old one and buying this one was just 3 months. Also in the US, Peloton are rolling out a rental scheme, and that's also going to have a big impact on second-hand values of Peloton bike owners. Next con is I wonder if Peloton have lost their edge or lost their way slightly. Let me show you. Here is the US studio, and I really like this one. So there's a mirror behind the instructor, which gives it a bit of a dynamic edge, gives you something kind of more to look at in the way that it's not just, it feels like there's two instructors there rather than one. You can see that there's an audience in this ride, which is a new thing coming back to Peloton. There's a laptop there on a stand. It's got a feel that it's the class. You're actually in the class. You can see the sound equipment there on the right-hand side, the sound controls. I think this has got a really good feel to it. But here's the UK studio, and this has been recently updated, quite recently updated. Hannah is a fantastic instructor. I recommend her rides a lot. But look at the studio. It looks like a daytime makeover program. Here's $500. We want you to bring Barbara's living room up to 2008. You've got 60 minutes. It just looks like that, doesn't it? I can't believe that in 2021, I think when they did this, they could come up with something this boring. And it's a slightly improved but similar story with the yoga classes. Let me show you a good yoga studio. This is the Apple Fitness Plus yoga studio. I kind of have to stand in front of this because of like anything with Apple, I just get a copyright strike. So you can see it's already a lot more interesting. Look at the background compared to the Peloton one. They have a 3 instructor setup as well. It's just a lot more dynamic. I think a lot more thought has gone into this as a studio compared to the Peloton one. And this brings me on to my next con, which is it can get a little bit repetitive. When you're focused so much on just one person on a bike, especially when you can't even see anything too much around them, after 250 rides, it loses its freshness. The instructors are all amazing, but there's only so much they can tell you and so much they can motivate you. It needs something a little bit more dynamic. One area that Peloton I find really struggles is with their scenic ride content. And if you think about their guided rides, which are instructor-led classes, these are the new rides. They've been out for over a year now. They've got 6. And these can make a nice change from a class workout, but they're just, I don't know, there's just something missing. Quite often like this, you're kind of riding at the instructor, which feels like a bit of an odd angle rather than with the instructor. And if outdoor rides are your thing, these fitness rides from iFit are just so much more engaging than the Peloton ones. They lack the production, they lack the picture quality, but I would pick these over a Peloton guided ride, outdoor ride, any day of the week. The next con, and only you can answer this, is you're not Michael Knight and this isn't Knight Rider. So are you going to ride this? Because it's not going to ride itself. For me, it's perfect. I love riding this. I love the class experience, Behind me, I've got the Nordic Track S27i for the outdoor rides I've just talked about, and I've also got a Hydro. I really like to mix things up. But if this is your only piece of cardio fit equipment, is it going to be value for money for you? Let me explain. So the membership on this is $40 a month, well, $39 or $44, depending on when and where you're watching this video. If you're riding once a month, that's $40 or £40 a ride. If you're riding twice a month, it's 20. If you're only doing one Peloton workout a week, that's £10 or dollars a workout, which is quite an expensive way to do it. You could spend £1,000 or dollars on a spin bike, put it right here, and have the Peloton app in front of you, or the iFit app, or the Apple Fitness Plus app. Is that a better fit for you? Do you really need a Peloton? Now, I must stress that I love it. I sold my Peloton and immediately regretted it and bought another one. I'm a Peloton fan. But for you, is it right for you? And talking about the subscription cost, that brings me on to my next con. So a Peloton subscription with a bike or a tread or rower is about $500 a year. On the Nordic Track bike here, the subscription for me, I've got a single person's membership, which you can't get on the Peloton, is $180 a year. So that is 75% cheaper. If you like the Apple Fitness Plus workouts I showed you, Apple Fitness Plus for a year is only $80. So even less than a quarter of the price of a Peloton membership. I actually don't think the Peloton membership is that expensive. I think probably $29 a month is probably a better price point, but $40 doesn't turn me off having one. But there is some really good competition coming up, catching Peloton quite fast, that is substantially cheaper. The next con is bad publicity. And I think the media and people who don't quite understand or like Peloton have had a field day, haven't they? It's been a good time to start Peloton bashing. Happens to the likes of Tesla and other companies as well. Every time a petrol car catches fire, it doesn't really make the news. Tesla catches fire, yeah, global. So I think for balance, it's important to remember that people like a bad story about Peloton. However, if we look at the share price, it's lost 92% of its value in the last year. I find that hard to believe, and I hope somebody got the sack. Actually, I don't hope anyone got the sack, but I hope they've learned from that. How do you lose 92% of your share value in a year? I know they were probably overpriced, but 92%? I think it's important to say that some of the bad publicity has been rightly so. They've had a problem with the Peloton Tread Plus. They had a problem with the Peloton Tread. My screen nearly fell off mine when I was running. The Rower, which, I mean, when's it coming? They've been talking about it for about 3 years. They've announced it at a recent homecoming event without a date that you can buy it. And according to Connect the Watts, which is another good channel, by the way, if you're interested in home fitness, they've removed all mention of the Peloton Rower from their social media account. What is going on? In addition to that, the Peloton Guide, which you can just see under the speaker there. I mean, this isn't a review of the guide, but I mean, it's a slightly disappointing product. It's just not as good as many of us hoped it would be. And it seems to have been released in a bit of a beta mode. It's almost like they've sort of thought the real die-hard Peloton fans will buy this and just put up with it while we get it right, and perhaps it will go a bit more mass market later on. The next con is that you're locked in. A Peloton machine will only show Peloton content. Well, actually, you can show other content on it, but you're not supposed to. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, may I say that it's excellent and you should subscribe and like this video. Doing this will probably invalidate your warranty. So yes, you can hack it, but it's just not designed to show anything other than Peloton workouts. And because it's almost like a benevolent dictatorship. So I'm sure they love us all, but they're very much in control with what they give you. And it's not like your mobile phone bill or your mortgage, for instance. So if you're thinking, I don't like the price my phone company are charging me, I'm going to switch providers, you can't do this here. Peloton are in charge of the content they show you. And yes, you can use the Peloton Bike without a subscription, and it does give you basic data like cadence, output and resistance. But a Peloton Bike and the subscription goes together like Cagney and Lacey. Yes, they can work without the other one, but it's more daytime than prime time. In conclusion, I want to say that I'm a very happy Peloton owner. I'm not kind of blinkered to them. I'm not a Peloton worshipper, but when it comes to my health and happiness, Peloton has had a big impact, probably the biggest impact on my health and happiness. Being able to just get on a bike and ride it has been brilliant for me. The meditation and the yoga have been good for my mental health. This is my third Peloton bike. I've had a Peloton Tread, I've got a Peloton Guide. I'll be buying the Rower on release day. I think they're great products. I don't think they're perfect as a company. Well, we'll wait and see how things evolved. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and don't forget to watch the pro video here. And until next time, see you soon.